I was home alone, and my mother-in-law came to visit. What happened next? You won't believe it. It all started on a hot summer day. My wife, Carla, had decided to go on a trip with her friends for a week. I stayed at home, thinking it would be a quiet and relaxing week. But I didn't know what was in store for me. On the second day, my mother-in-law, Sandra, called to say she was passing through town and wanted to stay for a few days. Sandra had always been an attractive woman, despite her age. Her light brown hair, always perfectly styled, and her green eyes that seemed to see right through you, made her stand out. When she arrived, she was wearing a light dress that clung to her curves in a way that I couldn't ignore. I tried to keep my composure as I helped her with her bags. "Thank you, dear," she said with a smile as she walked in. During the first few days, everything was quite normal. We spent the time talking, watching movies, and cooking together. But there was a tension in the air, a spark that I couldn't ignore. Every time our hands brushed accidentally, I felt an electric current. One night, after a particularly pleasant dinner accompanied by wine, we sat in the living room. The conversation flowed, and the wine helped us relax. "I've always admired how attentive you are to Carla," Sandra said, looking at me intently. "You're a good man." "Thank you, Sandra. You've also been a great mother to her." The conversation became more intimate and personal, and the wine made both of us lower our guard. Suddenly, Sandra stood up and sat next to me on the couch. I felt her closeness, and my heart began to beat faster. "You know, I've always thought you were very attractive," she said softly, leaning in closer. Before I could react, Sandra kissed me. It was a soft kiss, but full of restrained passion. At first, I was paralyzed, but then I let myself go. I kissed her back, feeling a mixture of guilt and desire. We pulled away for a moment, both of us breathing heavily. We knew what we were doing was wrong, but the attraction was undeniable. "Sandra, this—" I started to say, but she interrupted me. "I know, but I can't help it," she whispered, her lips so close to mine that I could feel her hot breath. "You know, I've been feeling a tension in my back lately," Sandra said, unexpectedly changing the subject. "Would you mind giving me a massage? I've heard you have magic hands." "Of course, Sandra. It would be my pleasure," I replied, trying to maintain my composure while feeling the heat rise through my body. Sandra got up and headed to the bedroom. I followed her, trying to stay calm. When I entered, she was already lying on the bed, face down, with her dress slightly lifted, revealing her shapely legs. I sat beside her and began to massage her shoulders. Her skin was soft and warm under my hands. Sandra let out a sigh of relief. "Oh, that feels incredible," she murmured, closing her eyes. "Your hands are truly magical." "I'm glad you like it," I replied, trying to focus on the massage and not on the growing tension between us. My hands slowly moved downward, working out the knots in her muscles. Every time my fingers brushed her skin, I felt a spark of electricity. Sandra moaned softly, and her breathing became heavier. "Lower, please," she requested in a whisper, lifting her dress a bit more. I obeyed, my hands sliding down her back and then to her hips. I could feel how her body responded to my touch, her skin prickling under my fingers. "Your hands are incredible," Sandra said, her voice trembling slightly. "I never thought a massage could feel so good." "I'm glad you're enjoying it," I replied, feeling my own desire grow with every movement. As I continued the massage, the tension between us became almost palpable. My hands moved slowly to her thighs, caressing her soft skin. Sandra arched slightly, pressing her body against my hands. "Don't stop," she whispered, her voice filled with need. "Please, keep going." My hands continued their journey downward, massaging her thighs and then slowly moving up, closer and closer to her center. Sandra let out a louder moan as my fingers brushed the sensitive skin of her inner thighs. "Higher," she requested in an almost inaudible whisper, lifting her hips to give me better access. My breathing quickened as my hands continued their path. When my fingers finally reached the edge of her underwear, I felt her body tremble with anticipation. "Please keep going," she repeated, her voice full of desire. With trembling hands, I slid her underwear down, exposing her bare skin to my touch. Sandra moaned softly, her moans turning into sighs of pleasure as my fingers explored her body. Finally, she turned around and looked at me with eyes full of lust and vulnerability. Slowly, she began to undress completely, her dress falling to the floor along with her underwear. "Make me yours," she whispered. "I can't wait any longer." My lips found hers in a burning kiss. I felt her body respond to mine, every touch igniting the fire between us. Our clothes quickly disappeared, leaving us naked on the bed. Every touch, every kiss, fanned the flames between us. I felt her tremble when my fingers found her center, already wet with desire. "Please don't stop," Sandra gasped, her voice filled with need. We moved together in a frantic rhythm. Sandra arched beneath me, her moans filling the room as we moved in sync. I felt every curve of her body, every shudder of pleasure that traveled across her skin. "More, harder," she asked me, her nails digging into my back. I increased the pace, each thrust bringing us closer to climax. Sandra looked at me with eyes full of lust, her lips parted in a constant moan. Finally, we both reached ecstasy, our bodies trembling and tensing in a shared orgasm. We collapsed onto the bed, still entwined. Our breathing slowly calmed, and the heat of our bodies remained as a testament to the intensity of our encounter. In that silent complicity, we knew we had touched a deep part of our souls, a place that can only be reached through total surrender. We looked at each other with complicity and a knowing smile, knowing that this moment would be etched in our memory forever. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, it will help us a lot. If you're looking for someone to spend time with, leave us your photo and a way to contact you. In the description, we will leave our email address. And you, what's your story?